Whenever I'm traveling, I always take precautions to make sure that I have the least likelihood of getting my things stolen. However, one time in Prague, even though I was taking precautions, something still happened. This is my story about how my stuff got stolen while traveling to Prague, and hopefully it will give some insight on how you can avoid something similar happening to you in the future. Let's get right into it. So basically, I arrived in Prague with my friend. Both of us were just going there with only a backpack. We had been traveling around Eastern Europe, taking the train to get to different countries, and we were excited to arrive to Prague. We were staying in a hostel, and it was a well-known hostel according to Hostel World, the app we would use for booking hostels, and it also had good reviews. We got there a little before we were able to check in, so we decided to leave our stuff in the hostel luggage room. This was something that was going to be watched, there was a camera, and it seemed safe enough. So we planned on leaving our stuff there while we went out to explore Prague. Even though the luggage room was watched by the staff, we still put locks onto our backpacks just to make sure that nothing was going to happen to our things. I was traveling with my laptop and some other expensive items that I was using for either filming or any work that I had to do while traveling. So I wanted to make sure that these items were safe, as I really didn't want to lose my laptop or have to buy a new one or deal with any of that hassle while abroad. So just like any other normal travel trip, we just went out, we were exploring Prague, we went to the castle, we were trying different food, we were having an amazing time, and it was almost time to go back and check in at the hostel. So we head back, we took the tram, I believe, and we arrived to the hostel ready to take our things, and we go into the luggage room, collect our backpack, but something just seemed a little off. For some reason, my friend's backpack had the zipper partially open, which we knew for sure we didn't leave it that way. So we decided to look at our things a little closer, and we noticed that both of our backpacks had been opened. But we weren't sure how this happened when we had locks on our bags. After further inspection, we realized that someone had used a lighter to light the zippers on fire in order to burn them off and not have to worry about getting around the lock. We knew our backpacks were good against, say, a knife or something. They were supposed to be slash resistant, so if someone was trying to cut the zippers, it would be very difficult, but we definitely didn't account for someone burning our backpacks. So immediately we went to the desk, we're asking if they knew anything about this, if they could pull up the security cameras, and after a few hours of waiting in the lobby, they were able to pull up the security footage. Unfortunately, I don't have that footage to show here, but we saw it on their screen, and someone went in there wearing a hood. They were looking through the different bags, they saw ours in the luggage room, and I guess we were the unfortunate targets of this theft. They burned both of our bags, were able to get in. Surprisingly, the thief left my laptop, but other expensive items such as my speaker were stolen. Same with a bunch of my friends' items as well. So this really kind of freaked us out because it was in the luggage room. They were watching this on the security camera, and we're like, well, is there anything we could do? The issue was we tried reporting it to the police, but of course we weren't going to be in Prague for very long. The video didn't show the person's face, so it was likely that the person already left. They tried to check and see if this was someone who had been in and out of the hostel, and it was, so they kind of probably knew what the luggage room was like and when people were in there or not, and that's how they didn't get caught, and they were able to leave the hostel and likely the country before anyone even found out what they had done. So obviously we were a little defeated. We were kind of sad that some of our items got stolen, but there wasn't much we could do past that time except to just learn from the experience and hope it doesn't happen again.
So, our stuff got stolen from our bags in Prague, out of the luggage storage room.
My back zipper is burnt.
Yep, they stole my speaker and also my Apple Watch charger and like the charger and phone connected.
So what would I do differently? What could we have changed? That's the question. And it's a little difficult because we already had locks on there. It was in the luggage storage room, which we would expect to be safer, but I guess it wasn't. In the future, I think if I had just a backpack, maybe I would keep it with me, especially when I have such expensive things. If it's not in a place that's locked that other people cannot access without an employee, then I think it's probably not the best to leave it in there. Thinking back, that was the biggest mistake. Although it was watched on the cameras and although employees would check in there infrequently, the door was left unlocked, and if you wanted to just go get your own things, you could. So it was built a little bit based off trust. Most of the time when I'm staying in a hostel, I will put my stuff in any locker where I could put my own lock on the outside, and it's like a metal locker, so that all my actual belongings that are expensive can go in there, and I don't mind if anything happens to my backpack, as that can just be under my bed or anywhere else that's maybe locked but not as safe. One other option I could have taken is I used to use apps for luggage storage where you can find places that have lockers that you could rent for the day or forever how long you need to use it. Some places like in Japan, they have these in basically all the major train stations, but in other countries, you could find apps where people are either renting out lockers or renting out a space where you have to get a ticket or show them the QR code on your app to get your things, and this would have been a safer option. We had been moving quickly, we were just excited to travel through Prague, and we weren't really thinking that the luggage storage area would be unsafe, but it turns out, unfortunately, it was. That's why, in the future, I would use an app like this, or keep the backpack with me if it isn't too heavy. But that's why if you're in a situation like this, and you see that the luggage storage area is not the best protected, even if there is cameras or something, if you have something expensive, it's best to either keep it on you or to put it in somewhere that actually does lock. That's why, apart from that, I always recommend that everyone keeps their passport on them at all times, not leaving it in any unsafe space. That's why I would use the Uniqlo round shoulder bag. I made a video over here about that, reviewing that bag, but it is my favorite bag and I use it for everything, and that's where I keep my passport when traveling, so I know it's always right there with me. In case all my other stuff is stolen, I still have an option to get back to wherever I need to go with my passport. The biggest thing to remember from this story is even if somewhere has a luggage storage room, if it's not locked, it's not always the safest. Make sure any of your expensive or important belongings are always locked or on you at all times. This is a mistake I've learned from, and luckily I've never made a mistake like this again, and knock on wood, this has been the only time that I've had items stolen while traveling. I hope this video helped you out to know a little bit more about what to avoid when traveling and how it could help you to make sure your things don't get stolen in the future. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about travel, I definitely recommend getting subscribed. I hope to see you around in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.